What's going on, everybody? UCF Jaguar back here with GenJag.com, and I'm here with my very first training camp coverage video. I wanted a few days to go by during training camp to kind of be able to gather all that's kind of been going on. Now, one thing that's kind of unfortunate about all this, and one thing that I hate about training camps or OTAs, is the fact that I'm not able to really make it to all of them. So most of my takes are kind of taking it from other people and what they're kind of seeing. I was able to go to one of the practices on Saturday, so that was a lot of fun. Met a bunch of people out there, but yeah, we're about 5 practices down, so I'm going to basically give you the gist of what's going on each different position group. You know, all the different offensive groups, all different defensive groups, just to catch you guys up on all that is going on over in Duval. So let's get it.
Last name ever, first name greatest, like a sprained ankle, boy, ain't nothing to play with.
So we will start out with the offense, and what better position to start with than the quarterback position. Now, Blake Bortles has been having his best training camp as a professional. This time last year, you know, I went to that Saturday practice where he threw 5 interceptions against the defense. This year, he is playing absolutely great. I mean, he's clearly the best quarterback out there. You're having veterans like Dante Moncrief and Austin Seferian-Jenkins really hyping up this guy, talking about how great he's doing. And that's a really good thing to see, just because in years past, even when Bortles, you know, had the whole hype behind him, he hasn't always been the best practice player, but now he is actually putting it together at practice. I'm sure he had a great off season, so I mean, he's able to really go into this season and hopefully really take over and own this quarterback spot. I mean, he is very, very vocal out there. He is calling audibles at the line of scrimmage. He's now he's more reacting instead of thinking and then doing. You know what I mean? And that's a really, really good thing. Now, when it comes to the backups, Cody Kessler and Tanner Lee, they're, I guess, doing average to below average. But I mean, when it all comes down to it, like most teams in the NFL, if your starting quarterback goes down, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Now, next up, we have the running back position, and it all starts with our bell cow running back Fournette going into his 2nd year, and he actually reported to training camp in his lowest weight since he was in high school at 223 pounds. Now, I would hate to be the high schooler to have to tackle that mammoth. Now, it is good that he has dropped weight, just because in college, he was really able to take his weight and really run people over and just like keep running through and basically breaking those tackles. But in the NFL, you're not really able to do that as much. I mean, you're still able to lower your helmet and, you know, take on like the defender. But honestly, like, they're going to slow you down or be able to tackle you well enough to where it's not really going to make that big of an impact. Now, if he's going to be able to be a little more elusive, and be able to be more of an all-around great running back, that's his next step, is just to be elusive, be able to shake people. I mean, he was able to do that last year, but of course we'd like to see that continue on and be better. So Fournette dropped a lot of weight, still a big old dude, and expecting a big year in 2018 from him. Now, you have your other 2 running backs in TJ Yeldon and Corey Grant, and you know, last year they had Chris Ivory to kind of add into that, but it really seems like a 3-headed duo, or 3-headed trio, I should say now, between TJ Yeldon and Corey Grant. And TJ Yeldon and Corey Grant, I mean, I saw both of them on Saturday. They look like they're in tremendous shape. TJ Yeldon's a really good 3rd down back. He's very dependable when it comes to giving in the ball. He doesn't really ever fumble. He's good at catching passes and also pass protection. I mean, you can't really ask for a better 3rd down player than that. And then Corey Grant, I really hope to see an extended role out of him. And I think the Jaguars will be giving him that. I mean, he's going into, I believe, his 4th year. So, I mean, he's very well earned the trust of the coaching staff. I mean, every time he gets the ball, it's like player in Mario Kart basically hitting a mushroom and speeding off. I mean, that guy gets the ball, and he's able to really pile through a hole. And we need to be able to use his quickness. I mean, we saw in the first half of the Patriots game, he did tremendous, and then we never went back to him. So I think Corey Grant, he's in tremendous shape, and he should have really earned his position to be in a future role with this offense. Now, a big X factor in this whole thing is, will they keep 4 running backs? You know, Leonard Fournette obviously has a completely different running style than TJ Yeldon and Corey Grant. And we look at our team, obviously we're a team that wants to be physical, wants to be a hard-nosed running team, a hit you in the mouth kind of thing. And TJ Allen and Corey Grant really aren't those type of players, but potentially a second-year running back with Tim Cook, who spent last year on the practice squad, he could potentially be able to slide in and be able to be that backup to Fournette, potentially like a game day inactive type of player, because he's a big old dude. I mean, he can probably like truck some people, so we'll see what kind of happens with this guy, and if he's able to come in there and maybe earn a starting, or not earn a starting role, but earn a roster spot. Now, when he's switching over to the wide receiver position, so far it's looking like Dante Moncrief is kind of emerging as that #1 wide receiver. I mean, he has the most experience on the team. He's obviously the most kind of built to be in that really X receiver role. But he did sustain a little bit of an ankle injury, so from what I've seen, he's been performing during like individual drill type of stuff, but once they go to 7-on-7, 11-on-11, he's been put to the sidelines, and that also includes wide receiver Marquise Lee. He sustained a little bit of an injury on Saturday night. However, I did talk to him like after the practice, and he said that he should be, he's good, so take that for what it's worth. Luckily for Marquise Lee's injury is like undisclosed, but Dante Moncrief, it looks like he has like an ankle injury. But one thing that's good about these injuries is that it's not like a soft tissue type of thing. You know, I'd be a little more worried if it was like a hamstring or something like that, because those soft tissue injuries do linger, and neither of those look like they're a soft tissue kind of thing. So that is good. But in Marquise Lee and Dante Moncrief's absence, those guys are by far the most experienced on the team. You know, both of them have been in the league going into their 5th years. But, you know, behind them you have second-year wide receiver D.D. Westbrook, you have second-year wide receiver Keelan Cole, and you have rookie DJ Chark. Now, those 5 that I aforementioned are all pretty much locks to make the team. So with those guys out, it's really going to make up for a really good competition between those 3 young guys. D.D. Westbrook has proved to be pretty consistent all throughout practice, basically making all the different catches. So, you know, all that's pretty good. Now, a big thing is that 6th wide receiver spot. You know, now will it be Rashad Green, who's been reported to be having a pretty good camp? Will it be Jadon Mickens, who served as our punt returner last season? Loudon Lazard, who's basically an undrafted guy out of Iowa State, or Shane Wynn, who showed a lot during the preseason last year. But, you know, with this 6th wide receiver spot, a big thing is, are they going to be contributing to punt return? Because now a big thing about this is whether or not D.D. Westbrook will be the primary punt returner. Because if that happens, you know, could they keep 5 wide receivers? Could they potentially keep 6th? If D.D. Westbrook is not the primary punt returner, then it's most likely going to be either Rashad Green or Jadon Mickens to earn this spot. So this 6th wide receiver spot, that's going to be definitely something to monitor really once the preseason games come about. Now, the next position is the tight end position. This has really been headlined by Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, I think, was an extremely underrated signing, and quite frankly, I think he is going to be a beast. So, really, I think he's going to be a double-digit touchdown guy. He's a big target for Blake Bortles. I think he'll also really give us a tight end that really is a threat to be able to respect the attention of the linebackers, to be able to hopefully free up the box a little bit for Leonard Fournette. And yeah, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, I think he's primed to have a huge year. You also have the big question about this is whether the Jags will keep 3 or 4 tight ends. It seems like Niles Paul is virtually a lock when it comes to making the team, really just because of his special teams ability. But, you know, that 3rd or 4th spot, will it be O'Shaughnessy? Will it be Ben Koyak? 2 familiar faces. If they're only going to keep 3 tight ends, I would give Ben Koyak the edge just because he's a better run blocker. And that's our team's bread and butter. Obviously, you want to be able to run very, very well and be able to close out games by doing that. So, yeah, I would give the edge to Ben Koyak. Now, next we'll talk about the offensive line. Now, going into 2018, you really saw 4 out of 5 positions that were really going to be locked between second-year left tackle Cam Robinson, the all-pro left guard that we just signed over from the Carolina Panthers, Andrew Norwell, our high-paid 5th-year center Brandon Linder, and then our right tackle Jeremy Parnell, with really the right guard position being like, you know, could there potentially be a competition there? But it doesn't seem like there will be, just because A.J. Cann has been playing terrific through these training camp practices. I mean, I saw it in person. When I went on Saturday, he seemed to be the best offensive lineman out there from, like, you know, that day. He definitely played better than any other guy. So, I mean, that kind of puts up any kind of competition, I feel like, at that right guard spot. Now, a lot of people are going to wonder about Will Richardson. Will Richardson, I hear, has been primarily just playing at that right tackle position, and that's what I like, you know. Get him to master one position, because he's hopefully, if everything goes as planned, going to be our right tackle of the future. So get him to learn that position. You know, we can kind of take out the swing tackle with what Josh Wells was doing last year, where he was basically swinging to each spot. Really have Richardson master that right tackle position. So if Jeremy Parnell were to miss some time due to injury, Will Richardson would be able to fill that spot. And also, I want to give a shout out to William Pales. He's an offensive lineman, and I got a picture with him, and he said to me that he's seen my videos before. So that's pretty cool. Now, next we will go on to the cornerback position. Now, I start off this position because it's headlined by Jalen Ramsey showing up at practice today. Now, he was a guy that missed the first 4 practices due to him having a daughter, so congratulations to him for that. But he is finally back. Now, I wouldn't expect him to miss any kind of beat because Jalen Ramsey is the best cornerback in the game, but it's good to have him back. It was legendary seeing videos of him coming out, walking onto the practice field, so that's all really cool. Now, obviously, AJ Boye and Jalen Ramsey are going to be locking down those cornerback spots, but one guy that's been flashing a lot is Tyler Patman. Now, Tyler Patman played very, very well during the last year's training camp, and even played well when called upon during games in 2017, but obviously they signed DJ Hayden to a semi-big money deal. I mean, it's not huge money, but they signed him to starting money, so he's most likely going to be locking down the nickel cornerback spot. But you know, if Tyler Patman were to outplay him in training camp and in the preseason, I would have no problem really putting Tyler Patman in there as like the starting nickel spot. But you know, we'll see how all of that develops. Now, our safety position is obviously highlighted by Barry Church and Deshaun Gibson. I don't see any of those guys losing their starting spots. Now, we also have 3rd round rookie safety out of Alabama, Ronnie Harrison. We'll see what happens with him. I hear a lot of good things about him. I just don't know how the Jaguars are going to get him on the field if somebody doesn't get injured. You know, I don't, we'll have to see if they do decide to put it in packages during the season where, you know, if Deshaun Gibson and if Barry Church are healthy, ways to kind of get him on the field. But I mean, I don't see any, I just see him maybe coming in if there were any kind of injury that occurs. But, you know, we'll definitely kind of monitor that situation. Now, next up, we have the linebacking position. Obviously, we have 2 superstars with Telvin Smith at the weak side linebacker, and Miles Jack at the middle linebacker position, which is a new position for him when we are in our base personnel with 3 linebackers and 4 defensive backs. Miles Jack is going to be transitioning into that middle linebacker spot where last year you played the Sam position. And then, you know, once the nickel coverage turned on where it was 2 linebackers, 5 cornerbacks, you know, Miles Jack is playing the same position as last year. But we'll see how he develops into that Mike spot. Last year he didn't get too much of an opportunity just because he struggled a little bit, and they said, okay, we have Positional, he knows how to play the position, let's just go ahead and slide him in there and be safe. Now, the biggest competition on this team is who is going to start at the Sam strong side linebacker spot. That's really the biggest competition on the team when it comes to not having a plug-in starter there right now. Now, before the season started, you really thought the competition was going to be between Blair Brown, between Leon Jacobs, and between Donald Payne, but as this is all developed, you know, I really, even before training camp started, I said, you know, Blair Brown could start up his position. However, I see him as being more of a weak side linebacker. And that's kind of what's been happening. He's been playing more backup will, and actually Leon Jacobs, the rookie out of Wisconsin, has been getting most of the reps at that strong side Sam linebacker spot. So it's really, the competition has kind of been between Leon Jacobs and Brooks Ellis. So you know, we'll see how that develops. Donald Payne is getting a lot of reps at like the backup Mike position, and then Blair Brown is getting more reps at the backup Will. So we'll see. I mean, most likely Leon Jacobs might be winning this strong side linebacker spot. He's a big dude out of Wisconsin, like I said, so I'll be interested to kind of really watch him once the preseason does start. Now, our best unit on the team is obviously our defensive line. We're absolutely stacked. Now, some players that stood out to me when I went to the practice on Saturday was Yannick Ngakoue and Calais Campbell. Obviously, everybody that's watching this video probably knows that they are beasts, so that's kind of what to expect out of them. But one thing that you do have to keep in mind is Dante Fowler Jr. is on the physically unable to perform list, and he has a week 1 suspension against the New York Giants when that comes around. But who's going to fill in for his position? Because he is a third down specialist. He comes in on third downs when Calais Campbell slides into the interior of the defensive line and plays defensive tackle, and you have Yannick Ngakoue and Dante Fowler on each edge. Now, before the season, or before training camp started, I was really thinking that, this is going to be a competition between Taven Bryan and DeJuan Smoot. But one guy that's been getting like a lot of the reps at this spot has actually been Lorente McCray. Now, a lot of people think Lorente McCray is a linebacker. However, he's not. He's a defensive end, and he's been getting most of the reps at that package. So that could be something that we should keep our eye on, definitely in the next coming weeks and week 1, because that's a really important role, being a third down pass rushing defensive end, because that's the, you got to get pressure on the quarterback and you got to get their offense out the field so we can give our defense or our offense a chance to score. So that's definitely something to keep our eyes on. Taven Bryan, our first-round rookie, he's been moving all around the defensive line, from playing defensive tackle to strong side defensive end. So I mean, they're probably gonna. That guy's an animal. I mean, he's been kind of off and on throughout these practices, but that's kind of what to expect from a rookie, especially like a defensive lineman. I mean, it takes some time to really get used to playing different players and like offensive linemen that are at the professional level, especially with our offensive line. I mean, we have our starting offensive line, I think, might be one of the best in the NFL. So Taven Bryan, I mean, he's got some learning to do, obviously, but he's got some really good potential, which is exactly why we drafted him. Now, I guess to end this off, we'll kind of talk about special teams a little bit. Josh Lambo apparently has been money all throughout this training camp, just basically making every kick possible. So that's pretty awesome. And I talked about our punt return job earlier. This is really up between D.D. Westbrook. It's up between Jadon Mickens, Rashad Green, and Shane Wynn. So, this will really be Rashad Green and Jadon Mickens' really chance to earn a roster spot. So, I mean, I would trust D.D. Westbrook at that spot over the other guys, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, yeah, that kind of ends my Week 1 recap. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys kind of like the format of it. But going away from, like, training camp, the one thing I want to happen is to stay healthy, man, because that's one thing that really scares me. Every day I'm worried, like, somebody's going to go down. I'm going to read on Twitter, Telvin Smith goes down holding his knee. I don't want to read that. I mean, you look over at the LA Chargers and people are dropping like there's a plague over there. So stay healthy, guys. Please don't go down with injury. Really don't want that to happen. But yeah, man, I'm extremely pumped. The season is here. A week from Thursday, we have the first preseason game for the Jaguars. Obviously, in 2 days is the first actual preseason game with the Hall of Fame game. So a lot of fun stuff going on, and football is finally back. So thank you guys for watching this video. This is UCF Jaguar with JenJag.com, and we out.